And so we're asking the question as budget deputations continue, probably for another 15 minutes or so, down at City Hall. What can ordinary citizens do to preserve services at City Hall? And we have some people with us, and Shelley Carroll, who of course observes all these things with great interest because you were there. You were the budget chief in the last administration. How well, first off, as a larger question, how well has this two-day thing gone? Is it useful, the way it's done?
No, and late this afternoon, a housing advocate who came to depute said I was going to talk about housing, but others have. And so I'm here to talk about the process. The process is wrong. Asking the gentleman of Birchmount residents to come all the way downtown, leaving most of their residents and in fact the workers behind as they come downtown was awkward. And who was listening? It's a bit of a media circus, and we the councillors are performing in a way. So the interaction that needs to happen to really take their suggestions, take their solutions, and begin to craft a solution. Shall we look at the user piece together? But those things don't happen in this
kind of process, do they?
They can't happen in this process, and the citizens themselves are dropping the cut they came to talk about and saying, we have to talk about this process for starters. It was quite something.
Well, the last time we went through all of this and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people showed up at City Hall, the result was pretty well the same.
Well, I even got chastised. At one point, there was complaint from the members of the budget committee about the length of deputations they were going to have to listen to and for how many days. And I said, well, I'll tell you what works for me. If you want fewer deputations, you're going to have to put forward a better budget.
Yeah, maybe.
I had a little bit of trouble for that one, Dale.
Well, isn't that your job?
Yeah,
isn't that pretty well your job these days? Okay.
We were done by 5,
right.
except we left before the raging grannies. We had a little trouble there. But.
All right. Here's Helen calling from North York. Helen, what can ordinary citizens do to keep the services at City Hall that we like?
Okay, I think we need to find a legal way to get rid of the mayor and his hench people. I'm sure that the people that most of the people that voted for him regret it now, but we've got another 3 years, and he can do an awful lot of damage in those 3 years.
Well, that's not likely to happen. You know that, right, Helen?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, okay. Thanks very much for your thought. However,
well, Helen is speaking to exactly what we're hearing here. These are not problems that cropped up since the mayor was elected. We need to talk about our parks and recreation program. We need to talk about residences and shelters, because what KPMG told us, we've known for a long time, some are at standard and some work very well for the residents in them. Some are absolutely abysmal. And Carolyn spoke to that. We had a long debate about our parks and recreation program and said we need a long policy exercise worked through with our community. But that's not this mayor's style. But it is Torontonian style.
But that's not going to happen.
Well, I think Helen is saying that she's about to call her lawyer and figure out a way to get back there.
Well, Helen, you get back to us, okay?
But Dale, being pragmatic and practical is not what politics in this city is about at the moment.
Are you telling me common sense isn't all that common?
I'm telling you that common sense doesn't exist.
Yeah,
What we need to do is get the councillors away from their talking points on right and on left, act like grown-ups and learn to live with each other for the next 3 years.
Do you think that by appearing before them today and saying the very important messages you had to deliver, that they were listening and you were accomplishing something?
No.
I don't know.
I mean, I know you had to say these things because you believe in them, but do you think it's going to sink in?
No, I don't believe it at all.
No, Carol?
I don't think that the ones who are making the decisions, who are wielding the power, are at all interested in what we have to say. I don't think we made any difference.
Well, I mean, it does come to a vote of all 44 members at some point, but I mean, there are ways as mayor to get your policies and your ideas through that vote system. Is that not fair to say, Shelley?
It's fair to say, but I think there is hope for these residents and all those who've spoken in the last little while, and Helen on the phone. If we look at the last couple of council sessions, just these last 2, the passing of the water and garbage budgets, the utility rate budgets, Slowly, over the course of the year, council has begun to take its role. Council can run this city.
Well,
And I think on January 17th, I think we'll see that council
that's the budget setting day.
44 people will determine a better budget.
Mark.
But if deputants want to actually make an impact when they go to present, they have to have something tangible to present, and they can't open with a 2-minute discussion about Rob Ford eating babies. You're not going to get anywhere by doing that. So come in with real solutions. Come in with, this isn't the council I may have wanted, but it's the council that we have.
Well, that's what you got to work with, isn't
Exactly.
it? Yeah, yeah. However, there's only 10 minutes left in the process, so what can you do? What can you say? Here's Jeff calling from East York. Jeff, what are your ideas about ordinary citizens getting what they believe to be the right kind of Toronto?
Well, Dale, I guess I just like to quickly mention that your previous caller said she thought that people who'd supported the mayor might regret it now, and I certainly have to say I do not regret it at all.
Well, we assume she's not speaking for everybody who voted for Rob Ford. Okay,
absolutely.
Fair enough.
You know, just take my own situation. I've lived in my current home 6 years, and I watched my property taxes climb to where they're now just over $10,000 a year. Now, look, there has to be a point at which people realize, people like Councillor Carroll, we're used to hearing the term sustainability used in an environmental context, but let's talk about it in a financial context. That is not sustainable. And it's not so much even for myself, but I have neighbors who've lived here 40-some years, who've owned their homes that long, and they are really struggling because, obviously, this isn't what they signed up for. Their house may be worth X number of dollars on paper, but their tax assessment is something that obviously is far beyond what they ever contemplated. So, you know, to continue down along the same line and just saying, well, add it on, up the tax, it's just not doable for a lot of people.
So then to get you to the bottom of your point, these cuts in service are necessary. It's got to happen. Is that what you're saying?
I think some of them are necessary. Some of the spending should have never happened in the first place, but let's not get into that. But I also think that what we could do is take a much more broad-minded approach to ways of increasing revenues, ways that would, though, involve, and this is the tricky part, cooperation among various levels of government, perhaps in all three cases, or among all three. And that's not going to be easy. We know that from experience. But
never been easy in the past.
No.
I can't imagine it's going to be easy in the future.
No, exactly. I mean, this past summer I was thinking we had to buy a new car, and I was looking through the finances, and I thought, well, they have things like that. They still have this air conditioning tax you pay $100 for, and things like that. And I thought, well, why not something like a public transit improvement fee? Like, I would have been quite willing. I'm paying thousands anyway. If they hit me with another $300-400. When you're putting out that kind of money, well, what wouldn't have made any difference to me? Okay.
So, Jeff, do you want to bring back the vehicle registration tax?
No, because there are people who are barely struggling to get by who, for them, licensing their car, like some of my neighbors, is money that it really means something to them. Another $60.
$60 a year is going to be that important to somebody who drives a car?
Yeah.
$1.15 a week?
Yeah, it is. But when you're buying one, I think it's something that, for a lot of people, you just roll it into the financing or into the lease agreement, or it wouldn't be. But, yeah, it really is. You know, I'm surprised to hear the question. There must be councillors who could tell you that there are seniors out there and many other people who do have a vehicle, but it's all they can do to keep it going. But it's important to them. That's their source of mobility.
Oh, I know. That's how they display some independence,
Absolutely.
you know. Yeah,
so
I agree with that.
Well, $60, it means something to them.
All right. Jeff, thank you very much for your thoughts. Let me go to Sonny calling from Toronto. Sonny, how do you think we get City Hall to pay attention to mere mortals in the city?
Okay, you know, I feel that they should reserve recreational, because I think it's very important in our society, especially the younger generation and the seniors. And they start cutting back on that. I mean, we're going to have a lot of problem in the city of Toronto, because you need recreational. Because
what about the idea that Mark Richardson has of cranking up the user fees a bit? That would be a good way around it.
Well, that would be a good way. And, you know, like I say,
anyway.
He should know that, because he's a football coach, and he should know how recreation, you know, it helps, you know, our society. And when you talk about obesity and stress, and you need recreational, so I hope they, reserve that for the people in Toronto. That's very important.
Sonny, thank you very much for your thoughts. What we haven't mentioned yet are some of these food programs in schools. This is money that may give some kids the only truly nutritious meal they have all day. And we are now cutting back so that we can count by the thousands the kids who will no longer be able to take advantage of that program.
And children who are hungry can't think. They can't think, they can't do their schoolwork. How is that a sensible saving to take away a child's ability to learn? It makes no sense.
Basically, this is our responsibility to look after these children.
I think so.
This is our future. We may not be here 20, 30 years from now. These children are going to be taken over for everything. We have to look after these children, whether they have the finances to eat or not. It's our responsibility to look after them.
Well, it's an investment in our society, isn't it?
It's an investment in our society, and it's a must. We must look after them.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Mark?
Well, we're fighting about who's going to pay for it. Education's provincial responsibility, and this food program is a partly funded program from the city and partly funded through charitable donations.
That's right.
So it's like pools in schools being a good example, right? It's another thing where we have the overlapping jurisdictions, and there's no idea in politics that can't be made better by getting somebody else to pay for it.
Well, yeah, all well and good to say that, but this partnership arrangement goes back many, many years, and what do you do then to fix it? What's the solution? As Mike Del Grande says, give me a solution.
Well, I think the solution has to be that the city works with the province and works with the people who are donating to these charities to begin with to
get more money out of them.
To get more money out of everybody. If you want to keep these programs, no program is free. So
well, why are we trying to balance a budget in the City of Toronto, an operating budget of $9-point-something billion on the backs of kids?